feeling like a shark in a shrimp tank. Big fish, small pond in the shrimp tank. When it's
Hey everyone, welcome to the post-show video wrap-up. I'm your host, Rich Jensen, along with my co-host, Matt Haas, and our special guest, Mike Russell of PuroClean. Each week on the post-show wrap-up of the Shrimp Tank, we like to kind of highlight some of the top 2 or 3 items that we discussed during the full podcast. I encourage you to go to arkansas.shrimptankpodcast.com and listen to the entire podcast. You won't want to miss a word of it. We had a lot of fun with Mike. He's got a very unique background, done a lot of things, and really his business is quite fascinating as well. In fact, you wanted to ask the first question, right?
Yeah, Mike, it was a lot of fun. So on the podcast, our listeners couldn't see you, but our viewers can, and you're representing PuroClean. But my question is, did you shave your head in order to look like Mr. Clean before you started this business?
And that one's not on the podcast.
Well, it's, without the Mr. Clean, I don't know that I could afford the PuroClean, so I actually used my haircut money to fund my PuroClean business.
Starting a business on a shoestring, right?
Go.
Some things got to give.
That's right.
So one of the things that Mike talked about during the podcast was about hiring when money's tight. So, and you had a unique perspective about A's and B's versus C's and D's. So share with our viewers what you were shared with us.
Well, financially, you're always limited to what you can do right out of the gate, especially when you started out, like me, with a one-man, one-truck model. I was the one man driving the one truck. When it became obvious I needed to hire employees, I would love to hire the highest level employee I could. An A-level employee would be great. Chances are, though, you're not going to be able to afford that A-level employee, and you end up with a D-level employee that you train really hard to get to a C.
Right.
You train really hard to get to a B. But if you can't ever get them above where you hired them, you have to at some point replace those employees with higher-level employees that are going to help you reach your goals, the goal of A-level employees working with A-level employees.
And very briefly, Sherry, you talked a little bit about kind of like in the Silicon Valley about what they found about pairing A's with D's and C's and what happened.
Sure. So what they find is when you have these think tank groups that get together and the old corporate models of, hey, let's get this department to work with this department, kind of put them all together, and maybe this brainstorming idea will be a collaborative process to invent a whole new product. And what they found was their super A-level employees were being forced to work with B and C-level employees, and the productivity had gone way down. The ideas had gone down. And it wasn't until they took these B and C's out of the equations and kept the A's working together that they flourished and new ideas started springing forth at a tremendously high level.
And we all like to think we're A's, so maybe it's a good time for self-evaluation.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And Mike, I love your company motto, the paramedics of property damage. So explain to our viewers what that means.
So the paramedics of property damage, we are the doctors of disaster. So we have an ideal where when we come into your home, we are working like a paramedic. So we have a direct relationship at PuroClean with the American Red Cross. We are known as the American Red Cross Disaster Responders, and it's a program where we are allowed to have this direct partnership with the American Red Cross to help them do blood drives or any kind of fundraising event. But we're also allowed to put that American Red Cross logo as a disaster responder on all of our vehicles. So imagine you're having this really bad day in your home. There's floodwaters everywhere, and you're kind of in a panic, and then you see this beautiful white truck backing into your driveway, and it's got the American Red Cross logo on there.
Yeah.
And you may never have heard of PuroClean, but you know who the American Red Cross is, and you're like, well, this isn't Katrina. I mean, these guys are here. They know what they're doing. And it's that paramedics of property damage ideal that we really, that sets us apart from our competition. And inside our own office, it's an ideal that we all rally around as a company.
Cool.
And I asked you a question about making decisions and what's your worst decision, et cetera, but you had a unique perspective on decision making. Share with our viewers what you shared with us about not looking back and lamenting.
So, staying positive and trying to make a quick decision is something that I've always built my personal ideals as well as my business on. You're always going to be given 2 roads when you're coming up with a decision to make at your company. And a quick decision one way or the other is key. Using all of the information you have to make the best decision you can make at that time is what I've always tried to do. Now, if it ends up being the wrong decision, you tack yourself back to the right decision. And if it's the right decision, you build upon that decision into the next decision. But making a quick decision is key and paramount to building your business success.
Well, those are good words. Mike, I want to thank you so much for coming on the podcast today. For those who are watching, maybe haven't heard the podcast yet, and they want to get a hold of you, get a hold of PuroClean, find out more about what you do, what's the best way to get a hold of you or the company?
Our phone number is 501-819-2200, and you can also find us on the web at puroclean.com/PLR-AR.
Well, there you have it. If you have a disaster, you need the master disaster here. Sounds like an old Worldwide Wrestling Federation.
Master disaster. Doctor of disaster.
Doctors of the disaster, master disaster. You name it, they do it. They'll take care of you. Hey, next week we're going to have another great guest on the podcast. You want to be sure to tune in. If you've missed any of the previous podcasts, go to arkansas.shrimptankpodcast.com and listen to it, watch our videos, and stay safe until next week. And remember, in the business world, we all start out as shrimp.